I think the preparations were, on an individual basis, very similar. Like we've all got our own things, our skills that we want to try and improve. Obviously, people came into it with their own goals in how they wanted to play once they knew, where they were going to be batting, what stages they were going to be bowling at. I think probably the approach of Mark was slightly different to that we've had in previous years, and I think the great thing we had was really good buy-in from everyone. And that was going to be the way we're going to try and play, and it probably reflected, the way we played when we found ourselves in quarterfinals previously, and maybe, been disappointed previously to not go all the way. And it's a way this sort of scrappy. We've been successful in doing it, in defending and in, playing what suits us really, rather than trying to be, maybe something we're not.
Played 2 4-day games before the blast, which was a good lead up, I suppose, to get settled in and spend a bit of time with the lads. We had a game up in Leicester where we got 700 and something, which was nice. A nice first initiation, I suppose, to county cricket. Plenty of overs in the dirt, but I think we got the record as well, which was nice to be a part of. But I played that game and then one at home against Derby before the first T20, and that was really nice just to get to know all the lads, I suppose. Spend a bit of time as you're doing 4-day cricket in the sheds and getting to know everyone, and then we were straight into the T20 circus, I suppose, where there's a game every few days, a couple of back-to-backs, and it was sort of the rest from there rolled on really nicely.
Oh, Bracey, innovation! Ho! 6 runs over the slips.
Samson to break the power play. Bracey pulls that and then moves the fielder for Bracey.
And that's out. Second ball, Elgar goes.
I remember the game against Essex at the start of the season. It was it was a really important game. You want to start the season with a win. That always, sort of makes it feel like momentum's kind of moving forward. And from memory, it was quite a convincing win in the end. Our bowlers performed, amazingly well. Painey and MT, that were, outstandanding. And from memory in that game with the batter, I think Hamo got off to a really fast start as well up the top, and Brace got 30 or 40 off not many balls too. So we started with a bang. It was a really positive way to get into our campaign.
Yeah, I think in that first game against Essex, sort of looking to hit the ground running, obviously try and start with a win if we can, and then the way that game panned out, I think we started really well. Painey obviously set the tone in those early overs, and I sort of fed off the back of that, and to start like that was just the ideal start, really.
Yeah, me and Maddie have played together for a long time now, and it's been great to watch his development over the years. It does feel a little bit like watching myself in 3 years back, and he's been exactly the same with me as like he didn't burst onto the scene. He's been like a grafter, and he works so hard at his game, and he's always getting better year on year, and he's always learning, and so he's always developing. And then this T20 campaign felt like it was his year where everything came together, and it was just perfect because it was one of those ironic years where I had my best year and he had his best year, and it did feel like the whole time we were just pulling each other along, and the communication between us is always really strong. We're always talking about the conditions, and I guess being similar bowlers, we can always help each other out with if the ball's swinging or if the ball's holding with our off cutters or whatnot. And it was just a really strong partnership this year. It always has been, but I really saw Matty grow this year as a bowler and almost step into a senior bowler role. But it didn't feel like I was, the senior bowler talking to a younger bowler. It felt like two senior bowlers discussing what was going on in games and in situations and working side by side. And I was just so chuffed for the campaign that Matty had, because I think it was so deserved, as I say, the years and years of hard work that he's put in, and every year getting better and better, and that was a really deserved year for him.
Get his eye in, because that is such a strong area for him. Bancroft facing up on 31, and McAndrews in and bowls across his stumps. He's bowled 59 without loss. Carson Bowles, it's cut in the air. This is going to be an easy catch this time and taken at cover. Themselves to 170 in these last few deliveries.
Lamb in Bowles. Taylor hammers that away. That has gone miles. Let's come up with the stats. 50 off 33 balls with a monster blow. And this over has now gone for 17.
Singdale runs in, he bowls a slower ball, it's miscued towards mid-off. This time the catch is taken by David Pay.
Hush around Hove as Taylor is in around the wicket. Bowls to Hudson Prentice. Is he caught behind? He is, he's given out. Final ball of the match here at Hove. In comes Taylor. Bowls to McAndrew. He's beaten the ball side of the stumps. Oh, and this is, and Jack Carson has got through, and Sussex have won in the most dramatic fashion. It was a swing and a miss from Nathan McAndrew. It went through to James Bracey. His throw missed the stumps.
He looks to take him down on the leg side. Benny running across, Benny Howe.
Oh, it's a great catch. Great catch there by Benny Howe. Diving, made a lot of...
Capable batsman, so that's a beautiful shot.
Pulled there by Van Buren venomously.
To Fuller again. Brilliant Yorker. Brilliant Yorker from Adge. Yorker again. Nicely hit over cover from...
Howells finishes it with a one bounce for... On the board, Dominic?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think perhaps the wicket was a touch too...
That's driven beautifully there by Ward. Through the covers, that's a really pleasant shot.
Ward, big flick into the leg side. Ajit Singhdale, oh, it's a beauty! Comes down the wicket, drive past mid-off for 4 runs. Fantastic cricket shot.
So, and he's got the wicket. Coles into bowl. And that's gone high, and it's 6.
Bowls him.
What can Price do here? And he's tried to kind of flick it over the keeper's head. And it's a dot ball. And Sussex have won here.
I think to keep the mood positive after being 1 from 4, we were still finding out about ourselves a little bit. But the good thing amongst those 3 games that we lost, you know, there were some close ones. One was the last ball finish down at Hove, actually, which was a really relevant game in terms of the rest of the competition, because it gave us an insight on exactly what we wanted to do with those close finishes at the end. And if we look back to the game at the Oval and other last ball finishes, I would say Sussex impacted how we performed in those. So maybe it was a worthwhile loss, that particular one.
Even when you have a period of 3 games where you do struggle, I think that Sussex one at Hove was really frustrating because we were in a great position to win it. So that was annoying, but we have obviously understood that the fine lines in T20 mean that there's going to be games that you sort of lose from winning positions and win from losing positions. We did it plenty this year, so that was frustrating. I think the fact that we lost those 2 games at home, Hampshire, Sussex, quite heavily was frustrating. But I think in such a long comp with 14 games, obviously with 10 games that followed that, we always knew that there was going to be a sniff if we, you know, put together a run of 3 wins rather than 3 losses. We could have easily found ourselves towards the top of the table.
Yeah, Purple Family Day is an incredible day for me personally and my family, but also for the club. I think, you know, rewinding it a little bit around Christmas time, when I spoke to Pete Lamb and Neil about potentially doing it again after the incredible success of 2019 with it. And the fact it fell again on a game against Sussex was really special, being the place where me and Laura both grew up.
It's always fantastic to be able to, you know, to light the ground purple and get in a limited edition kit and all this sort of stuff is all good fun. And
that day typifies what the club's all about. It's about being there for each other, supporting each other through thick and thin, and that you know, those games mean a huge amount to the boys.
Obviously, the day was slightly different how I saw it in my head. Obviously, I was injured. I wasn't fortunate enough to be able to be fit enough to play, but being able to sort of be part of the day, have my family out in the pictures at the start, being able to do some sort of fundraising for the charity, and also spending a bit of time in the commentary box telling them about the charity, was an incredibly special day. Obviously, the result didn't quite go away, and losing to a very good Sussex team, but yeah, the emotions around the day, the money that was raised, and the awareness for the charity was yeah, that's very special. Boo Boo was brilliant this year. You know, everyone knew Mark from his time at the club, from what allegedly was as a player of the club. So coming in, I guess he had huge respect in the change room for what he'd already achieved at this club. But I guess what he did really well was that he didn't do too much, and it sounds like, don't mean that in an offensive way, but all this group needed was someone to come in and with a calm head and back the group for the skills that they already had, and trust that we had the talent and the ability here to win trophies and do well. And Mark was fantastic with that. He came in, I think he just gave people belief that they're good enough to do what they do. And I think that showed then on the pitch. I think if you can just motivate players and give them the confidence and the backing that they are good enough, they will more and more often than not go out and perform. And I think that's what we saw from the group this year, that it was just a calm group that were excited to go out and show what we could do. And we felt fully back from Mark in all of that.
He's gone for it and he's pulled it off. What a shot. Got all the way. Magical stuff by Cameron Bancroft. And there you go, in the slot. Thank you very much. That's going to go all the way. He's hit it hard and long. What a shot. Flat as well.
Oh, what a shot that is. Full and flick for 6. Finish it. Driven down the ground, and that'll be 4. Use his feet this time. And it's to the right of the man. And nicked straight to the man at first slip. He won't get that score today. Full again from Payne.
There you go. This is what we've been saying. Something has to happen. Hit hard, and he fancies it, as Tom Curran. He knew. Skewed, but over the infield. That will run away for 4. He's hit into the onside. He's going to be taken. He's gone. Full. And they can, and it's a tie. Spectacular. David Payne deserves all the credit. Gloucestershire have fought tooth and nail.
That game against Surrey was amazing. You know, going to the Oval is always intimidating for us because you don't often play at those big grounds with packed crowds. But you know, I love it. We love it. So going there was always going to be a challenge. They're a quality side, and you know, we were down and out in that game. I thought we did well to get to the score we did, and then you know, they started really well with Roy, and then we got to that period where it was a bit squeaky bum time, and we just took wickets at crucial periods, and then obviously the main man Payne stepping up to bowl that last over, the crowd abusing us. I was on the boundary, I was getting abused, I was standing next to bangers, and we were coughing it from all sides, and just to you know, tie that game and get that crucial point. With those little moments throughout the season, I think we had a couple more games where, you know, that the Shawsey shot against Glenmorgan where we needed 6 to win off the last ball. We were also down and out. Jack's obviously innings in that game was crucial, but Shawsey stepping up. You know, you probably won't see that in his stats when we get older one day, but we know he did that the last ball under massive pressure, and those 3 points were so vital. You know, that tie against Surrey.
I absolutely loving the big stage. You know, playing at the Ovals was my favourite ground in England, personally. I love playing there. The atmosphere is amazing. It's what I want to play in front of every single day of my life, if I have the opportunity. Yeah, being part of a tie as well. Interesting. There was a lot of ebbs and flows during that game. Again, coming back to my old point, and I don't want to be the sour one, but we emphasize on fielding there, and there was a couple of chances that went down, and it's crucial, and you can't make, like I call it, mistakes on the day, and we all don't want to make it, but You know, fielding's a big part of it. And yeah, as soon as a couple of chances went begging, I thought, oh boys, we're making it hard for ourselves. And they are the team to beat for a lot of county teams around the circuit. So it's a big one for us. And yeah, excellent again by Payne. All the bowlers really came to the party. I think we didn't do justice. I think we should have won that game. I think the batting was superb in my eyes. You know, getting to that total, it was a defendable total. Yeah, long story short, Payne pulled it off at the end there, and yeah, the tie, amazing.
We get it almost every night when that moon is big and bright. It's a supernatural delight. Everybody's dancing in the moonlight. Everybody here is out of sight. They don't bark and they don't bite. They keep their loose to keep it tight. Everybody's dancing in the moonlight. Dancing in the moonlight. Everybody's feeling warm.
That Kent game is sort of a culmination in terms of a batting, a culmination of a load of things going really well, feeling pretty good at the crease, having made a couple of changes to my tactical awareness, tempo, etc., and it all just came together brilliantly. Like, because there again, I had a bit of a slow start. You know, Xavier Bartlett bowled pretty well, swung it up top and nipped it around a bit, and then bangers. We had a great partnership again. You know, he realised that I was having a bit of a day out, and he was there at the other end getting 30 odd. That, you know, meant that we ended up chasing a low total with loads of overs to spare, which meant our run rate took a big boost.
Yeah, the Glamorgan game was, from memory, that was the infamous Josh Shaw 6 off the last ball game to win. So, yeah, look, it was a match where you had to, just had to find a way to win. And quite often in these tournaments, you obviously need a little bit of luck. And I think we had, in that little period of time at the halfway point, we had 3 matches all go to the last ball. One we drew, one we lost, and obviously that game against Glamorgan was won. So that was hugely, that was massive for our confidence. And Jack Taylor also played really nicely that game. Got us out of a bit of trouble. Tim Vandergooten sort of got off to a fly. The ball was kind of nipping around a little bit. So to get away with that match with a win was huge.
Well, I first met Ollie Price as a 12-year-old, I think. When I first joined the club, he was on the academy, and I used to coach on the academy and look after and do a bit of his spin bowling provision. And then ever since then, You know, I've had a very close relationship with him as a coach and as a player, and I think, you know, over the last few tournaments, he's shown a lot of promise with the ball, and it's very tough to be bowling off spin, you know, in the modern game. But this year he was just fantastic. You know, when he didn't start in the side, you know, he had to fight his way in there, and then when he did, he took every opportunity that was in front of him.
Smead to take strike for the first time. That's pulled in the air, that could be out, and it is Ollie Price at deep square.
That's in the air, gone. Short in, and that's a good shot there. Tom Abel goes offside.
Abel, oh, in the air, lobbed and straight. Very, very welcome. Hammond has found the boundary, first time tonight. Potentially slightly slow, but Hammond's driven that past Gregory, that will go for 4. And so far, that's in the air, that's a safe shot though, and it will go 1 bounce 4. Gregory around the wicket. That's cleverly played by Hammond, he swept that for 4.
As that's gone up in the air, that's Abel's, no, Coda Cadmore.
Green again, Bracey hits that in the air. Has he picked the gap between the two fielders? He has, and it's gone for 6. Charlesworth is going to finish it with a 4, away to deep square. He finishes on 36 not out, Ollie Price on 43 not out. They came together at 108 for 5, and they've added 82, and they've won the game, Gloucestershire, with at least an over to spare.
Ollie was just an absolute joke in that game. That was just like, yeah, I mean, I remember being out there and I can't even remember a whole heap of what went on, really. I just remember moments. I don't even remember Ollie walking out to bat. All I remember thinking was, like, it almost felt like an unwinnable game. Like, Ollie came out to bat. My mindset was like, we're not really a chance here. I'm probably just going to have a hack and see what happens. But what I do remember is when Ollie got to the crease, he was fizzing. He was like, felt like he was going to punch me. He was like almost like angry. He was like, he had so much intent. He was like, right, we're going to take him down here. And I was like, I almost didn't really believe him, to be honest. I was like, yeah, sure, mate. We'll probably hit a couple of bombs and then we'll just hit one in the air. And Ollie he did hit a couple of bombs and then hit a couple more bombs and then a couple more bombs. And I was like, we're actually a sniff here. And then we just got on a roll. I felt like every time I didn't hit 4 or 6, Ollie hit 4 or 6. And every time he didn't hit 4 or 6, I hit 4 or 6. And then all of a sudden I looked up at the scoreboard and we needed like 7 and over.
I remember it pretty clearly because, or the build up to that game, because I'd been, like in and out of the team. That was probably, I'm going to guess 6 or 7 games into the comp. I couldn't say exactly. And I reckon I maybe played in half or just under half of them. And then I knew I was playing a few days out because it was a back-to-back game. We had a 4-day 2 days later, and it was a busy schedule. So I sort of knew that I was coming in for that game. And I remember, I think like when anyone gets left out, there's a bit of frustration, but also I didn't feel like it was. I remember how I felt, like I've already mentioned at the end of last year's comp. Like there were some things I wanted to be able to bring to the table when I did play, and I felt like actually being left out gave me a little bit of space. Like I had quite a red ball heavy winter, so I hadn't maybe done as much prep as I would have liked to. And actually, I remember just being really clear with my practice in a couple of weeks where I wasn't necessarily a lock-in in the team. And then, like Ben said, I remember they got 190, and then we needed about 90 off, I think 5 and a bit, 6 overs when I came in. And I think the good thing about that was there was no sort of decision make. There was no like option really the game had to be taken on there and then. And I remember coming out and I was pretty fizzed up. It was a big crowd. And I remember just thinking, like, I distinctly remember actually a conversation where I think it was Ben Green. Ben was batting to the shorter leg side boundary, and he was like, I think this is my matchup. And I remember saying, yeah, but I'm going to go as well. And like Ben said, the rate was about 16s, and it was just one of those moments. I don't think I'll ever have a start of my innings which goes as well as that. I think in my first 8 balls, I tried 6 or 7 things, and they all they they all went perfectly, and that, you know, I've played enough games where that doesn't happen. And like, you know, at the same time, it wasn't like luck. They were things I'd been practicing. So it was, for me, it was a massive moment in terms of my confidence of seeing what my best could bring to a game. Like, you know, you're always hoping that that's the, you know, cricket's not, it's not necessarily always fair, but you're hoping that you're going to be able to have days where you show or the best of what you can do. And it was just so, it gave me a lot of confidence knowing that the best of what I could bring could really change games. And I think we were both ticking as we sort of, like you said, I think we had a couple big overs where we both, I probably started, like I hit more of the runs at the start. And then I remember just sort of rate got down below tens, and I think Ben hit a couple boundaries off Meredith, who was their strike bowler, and suddenly it was at sevens for, you know, we needed 15 or 2 overs or something like that. And it just felt like the game changed in, you know, a couple of moments where we got it right. And there are things that there's a lot of work gone into those moments, but they just happened to be our day. And yeah, it's definitely, as a game, you know, probably, well, no doubt the knockout stages are probably my cricketing highlights so far, but that as a game was incredibly special, just to do that at home in front of a full house. You know, coming into the team, that was an awesome moment, and something I love looking back at that.
You talk about someone who's you know, was initially left out of the side because of his six-hitting ability the season before, and then to come in, I think that was like the highest strike rate the club's ever had after X amount of balls. I mean, that's unheard of.
Yeah, that the Kent game at Cheltenham, with the rain coming around was it was a horrible hour or so. The weather was coming in. We were obviously in a fantastic position, miles ahead of the game. We weren't chasing that much of a score at Cheltenham, and it was just horrible. And it was tough, you know, to go out there and have to score a few runs, but then not lose wickets. Like, just horrible position to be in. Like, had that been a full chase, or even, you know, another 6-7 overs, but to know we're sort of only going out there for an over or two, and the rain is coming any second, and we needed a few runs, not to, like, you know, it was just horrible. And then it was so tough to go out. Bracey then went out and had, I think, 3 balls and had to score 7 or 8 runs. Like, you know, there's no real winning that, to go out, because it was nipping around. There was a bit of cloud and rain around it. And it was tough. And that was something we didn't want to dwell on at all. Like, that was just, sometimes in cricket, strange things happen, and let's just move on and let's just make sure we get it right the next game. Hopefully something like that doesn't happen again, because you never really want to be involved in rain affected games. It's never as good. And, you know, the full 20 overs, the best side can come out on top, and that didn't actually happen that day.
Kent was a strange one, I think, because obviously the weather played its part in the end, but we actually bowled really, really well. Obviously, again, Payne up top set the tone, and we held them to a score that was very, very chaseable, probably below par, and we would have expected to chase that. Obviously, you can't help the rain, but you've got to think about all those circumstances going into it. And yeah, it didn't quite work out for me on that day. I was definitely frustrated with how that turned out. And again, it could have been another moment that had a lot more weighing on how things turned out than it ended up doing. You know, if we miss out by a point there, I feel very disappointed with how that game turns out. But obviously, in the end, it didn't matter too much. But again, it just took us into another period of the season where, you know, we lost a couple of games on the bounce, maybe games that we shouldn't have lost. But that, you know, it's disappointing at the time, but it also drives you on to go on the sorts of runs that we did at the back end.
I really enjoyed playing with Webster. He's a great fella. We mainly played a lot against each other in Australia, but not heaps together. And I think that's a brilliant thing about county cricket, and, you know, playing in overseas tournaments. You know, his ability to be able to play with so many different guys, and he brought great energy to the group. I know he loved being in Bristol and being around the guys, and he made so many great contributions that were so important that you probably wouldn't necessarily acknowledge them as being that vital in the context of games, and especially when you analyse cricket, you know, you look back and you go, wow, that was really important. That over went for 3 or 4, and you know, it was such a, you know, an important moment for someone else to take a wicket at the other end or something like that. And I felt like Bo did that a lot for us. He was amazing in that Somerset game. You know, with the bat and ball. You know, just came in and bowled, you know, some ugly overs in the middle that, you know, can be a little bit challenging, and especially in Taunton, like really small ground, you know, quite an intimidating crowd to play in front of as well. You know, there was a fair bit going on, you know, on the boundary line and things like that. So yeah, he was outstanding, you know, that game, and you know, probably didn't get a lot of accolades necessarily, with you know, getting 100 or getting a 90 off of 40 balls or something like that. But, you know, his contributions were absolutely vital to us winning so many games.
Aerial and gone. Chance, Tower, brilliant. Edged, gone.
Has that gone? It's gone up a long way. Think he's got all of it. No, he hasn't. Catch taken. Oh, what a shot. One of the very best that we've seen throughout the afternoon. Just picked up length. Oh, what a shot. What a shot. Miles Hammond looks in good touch here.
And that has been smoked.
Heaved a long, long way.
Swings it downwind and line. That'll do it. That will do it. Record chase for Gloucestershire. Ben Charlesworth picks up the off-pace delivery. 17 from 9 at the back end. This is the winning moment.
Yeah, and he was trying to get that full. I think he was trying to get that full. He knows if you get that up in the air on that leg side with the wind, no price.
The second game at Somerset, played at Taunton, actually was a game that stands out really vividly in memory. It really showed how resilient a group we are. I thought we bowled really well at their top order. Once again, the guys bowled well in the power play. Marshall, the line bowled really well in the middle overs. And then I think for the first and probably only time this season, we had a bit of a unfortunate last over where Josh Shaw just got it slightly wrong, got taken off for 2 full pitch deliveries. Ollie Price had to finish the over, and that over went, I think, for nearly 30 runs, taking their score up to 190. Another time, I think that could have dismantled or chase. But we stuck to our guns, went out there, played really well. Somerset were hampered with a slight injury to Meredith. That said, I thought the top order batters played brilliantly, and then down to Price and Charlesworth at the back end to get us over the line in the final over. And I thought that was an amazing victory, to go down there and do it in those circumstances.
I actually think we bowled. We'd done a lot of good things in that game, and then some poor stuff. I remember we shelled a few catches. I shelled one. I think it was one of those days where I felt like we'd put a lot of good stuff together, and somehow they'd got to we'd let them by some, a couple of mishaps, let them get to a score where, they were probably around par, if not just above. And it was another big game in the context of our position in the group stage. And I think there was less, obviously the game was tighter. I think we probably came in, we needed maybe 12s off 3 overs. And I know for a fact that the game before, the home game at Somerset had given me, against Somerset, gave me a massive amount of confidence in that moment that, it was a pretty simple task. It was just trying to bring your best options to the moment and I hope that it came off. And those moments are so good. I remember the last over, I think we needed 14, maybe 15. And it was just in my head, I remember I got one away for 6. I remember thinking I had so much faith that if I didn't hit the next one for 6 and Ben was on strike, then was almost every chance that what happened would happen and he'd hit another 6. I just think it was, again, we probably had so much sort of like energy and excitement in that moment, but also confidence that you know, that it was doable. And I think that confidence came from the games before, comes from lots of different things, but probably wasn't as remarkable a win, but was as good a feeling, making sure we got those 2 points and winning home and away. It was, yeah, so much fun.
Payne again to Cracknell. In the air, just over by Webster, and that's quite a height, and the ball's going to, in the 5th over of the match. That's skied up in the air. Whose is that? That ought to be Webster's. He's underneath it now, and Davis waits and that's pulled for 6.
Taylor
around the wicket to De Caires, who punches that straight to Jack Taylor, who throws at the stumps and he hits, and there's a run out, a simple run out, and Higgins into Webster, who is bowled. He's made 31.
Holman to Charlesworth. No, he's gone, he's stumped. Oh, he's given that one as well. Ollie Price's foot.
Cornwell coming back to bowl a 4th over, and that's a good clean hit. That will probably go for 6 runs into the members.
That's going to be 4 runs. David Payne gets it. Cullen out. End of. David Payne perishes.
Hampshire have got that to hang their hat on. There'll be a wicket here for Howell as Bancroft tries to clip the ball through the onside.
Benny played with most of us for a number of years, and I did ask him after the game why he hadn't done that for us the last couple of years that often. But look, we knew what he was capable of. We were ahead of the game, and he played an unbelievable knock, 60 odd off 25 balls or whatever it was. And yeah, we knew that was in the locker with him and James Fuller coming in at that time. We were ahead of the game, but we knew what power they still had to come. So we just tried to execute what we did, and I thought we did a pretty decent job. But he, just outplayed us really. Payne again bowled a really good last over, but used his paddles and things like that. He's got the power; he can hit all around the wicket. So it was his night. It wasn't ours, but thankfully it didn't. That didn't play a factor in us being able to carry on in the competition.
McElroy in, and a scoop from Bancroft will get him 4 runs.
And that's gone up in the air. That's going to be 4 more as well. That's gone miles up in the air from Bracey. I think that's going to go all the way. It does.
Right arm over the wicket stumps, and that's 4. That's 4 more for Webster. He's gone square this time to him, and he's bowled. Figures would be a start. It's 29 to get there. That's gone high in the air from Corbin. Whose is that? Should be Josh Shaw's, and it is.
He comes. Crane out. End of the game.
And then the last game against Glamorgan at Cheltenham, we knew what we needed to do. We knew we needed to win, and win pretty big because we needed a huge net run rate swing. And obviously batting first, we got off to a fantastic start, and then just able to keep that going. It was nice to get it out of the screws and get up to 200. And then you always generally think with 200 on the board you should win the game, but you can't take it for granted for sure. And then the bowlers to go out and do what they did and be able to roll them for 100 or whatever it was, gave us a huge injection. And then, obviously that gave us a chance going into the last game against Middlesex to keep it going.
Cut hard and cut through. And talking to pick up shots, mind yourself in the dugout. That's launched and it bisects the fields. Oh, now that was in the slot. Chipped straight, bisect the fields.
heaved away and is, wow, caught at deep mid-wicket. What a catch that is. And there's the wicket. Higgins falls, gone for 5 from 6. Oh, now, Cracknell, he's got a lot of it, but he hasn't got enough of it, and he's going to go. Cracknell's out for 5. Taylor has his second wicket. Skies it, and that means the new batter will have strike. Bracey hangs on, never in doubt there. Takaris goes for 12 from 7. Middlesex's night is pretty much done.
Then Middlesex was basically a knockout game. And again, we held our nerve. They got off to a flyer. And that was actually the game I was talking about. I took that catch against Martin Anderson. I remember thinking it was a big moment because I just remember thinking, quarterfinals on the line. There's every chance, And then we finished that game off really, really well. Bowlers hung in there after a bit of an unlucky start and managed to pick up a couple of wickets and squeeze, and then Ollie Price came on and got rid of Higo. I just remember that bit. I remember sitting in the sheds after that thinking, okay, well, we've given ourselves half a chance, but not really expecting anything.
Yeah, so I'd messaged Benny previously in the day, just to they were obviously out and didn't have a huge amount of space. But I was like, make sure you guys pull your finger out and do us a favour here, because he obviously, whacked those runs at the end to beat us against Hampshire. So I was like, you owe us one.
Because I think we needed Essex to lose against Hampshire at Hampshire. So it was one of those. It was like, every likelihood this could happen, but you don't want to put the mockers on it. And then I think a couple of the boys were in Ibiza when they found out, which might have given them a bit more of a oomph in Ibiza, listening to David Guetta.
Yeah, a few of us were in Ibiza actually, so we were on a dance floor watching Essex play at Hampshire, obviously knowing that a Hampshire win would sort us out, and they came through, which was great. So double whammy, nice holiday away, watching Calvin Harris, and then blast quarterfinal as well. So that was a pretty surreal weekend.
And it got pretty close, but I was actually at home. My wife Becky, she was out with a few of the girls having dinner. So half of the squad were in Ibiza, having a fantastic time, and me and Paney were at home with the kids, watching at our houses, texting each other on WhatsApp, and it was horrible because you knew what was at stake, and it was in someone else's hands. So Hampshire win, we're through, happy days. Essex win, season done in T20. So it looked like Hampshire were going to win reasonably easy. They got off to a good start with the ball, and then they had a really good partnership, and it almost looked like Essex were going to win. It was a nervous hour or so watching that Essex innings. But yeah, obviously we're all over the moon when they did win, because it meant we had another opportunity to play a quarter-final.
Yeah, so I'm going to the back end of the competition, the group stages. I think we needed to win our last couple of games to give ourselves half a chance. The last game being against Middlesex at Chelmsford, which was fairly unique, really. Middlesex playing the home game there. But we went there and played some really good cricket throughout. Really strong, solid game. Once then got off to a good start. Set a good total on the board and defended it with our life. And we got the 2 points we needed. But then we needed Hampshire to beat Essex. And that game was going quite well for us. Remember, tracking it all the way in. Hampshire were going quite well, looking quite comfortable. Then Essex had a partnership out of nowhere and then looked like favourites. And until I think Wood from Hampshire had a good couple of sets and kind of got them over the line, but it was touch and go for a bit. But I think, with Hampshire beating Essex, then it meant we went through a net run rate, and then got through to the quarterfinals with a tough draw away to Birmingham at Edgbaston.
I think Jack was just unbelievable this year, and I say that because I think he had a really difficult last couple of years, not only with his, I guess, the pressure of captaincy and wanting to do well, but it is the pressure it puts on you as a player as well. I think he changed his role slightly in recent years. He wanted to put more pressure on himself, move himself up the order, have more match-winning knocks and things like that. And that's a difficult ask of a guy who's had a particular role for a while, and to change that. So as I say, I think it'd been a challenging couple of years for the whole team, the club, but as I say, for Jack as well. So watching the way he went about his business here, you could see reflected really hard on his own game, his captaincy, and everything he did this year. You could see it was a man who'd grown from, like we all do, I guess. It's the tough times that make us stronger, and Jack was someone you could see who clearly done that this year. His captaincy, I thought, was brilliant. He was brilliant at recognising the crucial moments, and I guess taking a second longer in time to have communication with guys at the right time, whoever that be, the senior players, the bowler, the keeper, and just making sure, I guess, all the little things, the 1%ers. I know Michael Klinger was huge on the 1%ers, and it felt like we were better this year at recognising those little moments and making sure we get it right and taking that slightly bit of extra time. Yeah, as I said, I can't sing his praises enough. I thought coming into it, what's it going to be like? As I say, it was the same. I wasn't sure where we were going to be at, and I wasn't sure where Jack was going to be at, to be honest. But actually, he was a huge credit to himself that the way he went about his business was just perfect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was definitely more sweet than bitter. I was absolutely wrapped for the lads. I went straight over to Canada to play in another tournament, and was watching those games intently to see if the boys did qualify, and then the bit of the funny scheduling where they don't play another semi-final for however many weeks, and then the finals weeks after that again. So it gave me plenty of time to sit down and watch it all. And when I did, I was the first one on the phone with the lads and to congratulate them and wish them all the best. And if I had have probably done it my time again, I might have been able to schedule it a bit better, where I could have been able to come back and contribute in the final series. But it's just the way it is with that, the tough schedule and things on. You don't really know what's going to happen in those August, September months. So as much as I was a bit, filthy, I wasn't there celebrating with the lads. I couldn't have been happier. They deserve it so well, and they played brilliantly all year, and they absolutely put on a clinic in the finals day. So couldn't have been happier for the lads.
Last ball, and it will be delight for Gloucestershire. They will get to finals day for the 4th time.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favourite win of the season. Really, I think the following that we had, the aggressively underdog status that everyone sort of put on us, we quite enjoyed, and obviously, after such a good start from Cam and Hamo to obviously only get, late 130s was really disappointing. It was always going to be a bit of an uphill battle, but, you feed on the atmosphere, you feed on your fans, you feed on your teammates, and trying to prove a point that, we've got that dog in us a little bit. And, it was great. And I think that was another evening where we took all our catches. We made good decisions. Jack captained the side brilliantly, and and obviously we were able to come through. And I think that was, as soon as that game was won, I had huge confidence going into finals day, just because I just had this feeling that it couldn't get, you know, more difficult than all the scenarios we'd found ourselves in that season. We were prepared for all of them, so I just felt really good once we'd obviously done the job on Birmingham.
The quarterfinal was incredible. I know, obviously finals day itself was amazing, but the quarterfinal, the atmosphere, the intensity, because obviously it's their home grounds, their home fans are there, and there was a lot of people who come to watch both teams specifically. So the atmosphere and the feeling around the place was incredible, and to have such a close game and to be a part of that was amazing. I mean, I was a little nervous going in, being my first game, first T20 game in over a year. But yeah, that was one of the best games I've ever been involved in, for sure.
Yeah, so the quarterfinal bowling against Marinelli, I think he was might have been my first ball anyway. I can't quite remember, but I just remember I've been working all winter and throughout the season on this beautiful in-swinging Yorker with a new ball, and to left-handers, a bit like Shaheen Afridi does for Pakistan. Obviously he's left-arm, but he did it to right-handers. So I was like, right, come on, I can do this first ball. I'll give it to him and try and get one on his toes. It was a little bit wide, but kind of rush through. And I was like, right, we're in a good space here. I feel quite comfortable. That almost settled my nerves down a little bit. Obviously, with a batter of his power, and he's obviously a great player, and luckily Payne got him. But yeah, I think just personally, I was just thinking, just go out and do what you have done all campaign from when I came in after the third, fourth game, whatever it was. I think just having that trust in myself that I could do it, and almost just believing that, just bowling my best ball, and I'm always in with a shout, especially when it's still swinging at that period as well. So that was handy for me.
Getting players prepared and ready and fit to play and compete is no mean task. I mean, I arrived in March, and a lot of the work was done in terms of the preparation leading into the season. I only had a short time with the guys in Stellenbosch where we were able to talk and look at certain things. But as you could appreciate, a lot of work is done well before then, going into the season. So, Owen Dawkins and Tom Swift in particular were involved in that pre-season bit. And then we had Mark Thorburn, who joined us from the Talent Pathway, and Mike Yardy, who helped us with the batting in early season. And they came in and added to our resource, which then gave us a good chance to make sure everyone was ready, fit, and fighting to go. Out of the kind of skills section, we've got a really good Somerset team, obviously, with the physios who, the English season's so unforgiving. They've got a constant job of trying to keep these guys on the park and do that really well generally. And then with Ollie, S&C coach, keeping the guys ticking over, preparation every day for games, making sure they're bang up for it and ready to go from ball one. This help is so essential. And yeah, you're right. You can't play a season and compete at a high performance without that support. So I know what you mean by unsung, but in my view, it's not unsung, because I fully appreciate all that they do. And we had our little moment at the end of the season where we got off and had a nice meal and kind of celebrated separately. But yeah, they, like the playing team, we need to go again. And I'll keep challenging the coaching staff as much as the players to see where we can really get to. Because the exciting thing about this all, you just don't know. And that's the thing that really stimulates me and keeps me going. I would never, ever know how good a player can be.
Yeah, I think the pre-game stuff's just trying to keep it as consistent as possible. Don't treat it like any other day. It's obviously completely different. It's more cricket, more people, more pressure, bigger prizes at stake. But you got to prepare the way you know how. And I think to stay calm, spend time with my teammates, get good sleep, and just appreciate it for what it was and go out and enjoy it was so key. I think it was nice playing the second game. It allowed us to soak up a bit of the atmosphere, watch a bit of the first game, gain an understanding of what was going on out there. And I think that played into our hands really, really nicely. Obviously, having played there the week before as well, we knew exactly what we needed to do going into it.
Dropped on, little inside edge. Gone. Oh, he's knocked him over. What an absolute beauty cover. Gone, got him. It's another one to the men in yellow. Bancroft with the catch. Matt Taylor with another wicket.
Yeah, I think you want to have performances in sort of knockout fixtures, and historically in the last few I haven't had much of a role, but certainly in this game the stage was set nicely. You know, fantastic power play. When I come on to bowl, we're well into that middle lower order. So in general, the mindset is like they're going to be slightly easier overs. There's going to be less attacking strokes. You can get into the game, but I just felt like I wanted to try and take wickets, stem the flow. You know, even we knew that 130 was a tricky chase the week before, so we knew we didn't want them to get too many runs. So just tried to be as aggressive as possible. Again, like I said in the Hampshire game, getting that wicket early obviously gets you into the game, and thankfully Simpson played across that one. I actually thought on field it was going to be given not out, and obviously we saw on the replay that it was just in line, so it was one that fell in our favour. But fantastic bowling performance, and you know, even better batting performance to knock that off so convincingly.
Yeah, I think you know, we went into that quite happy that we were playing the second game. You know, there's benefits to playing both first or second. You know, second, you, as you said, you get to watch a bit of that first game, get a bit of a feel on conditions, sleep in a little bit more in the morning, like all these things. But you know, by playing first, if you do win, you get that bit of rest in the afternoon before the final. So, you know, we were quite happy, I think, playing on probably a more used wicket, and being able to get a bit of insight from that first game, and obviously then to be able to, we obviously lost the toss, but we bowled fantastically well. Payne again in the power play, Matty bowled a few absolute snorters, and when you get a team sort of 30 for 4, you're always in a decent position to keep them to something small. But obviously the guys kept taking wickets, kept taking catches, and set it up really nicely. Yeah, and obviously I was really happy to be the one to get us over the line. I really enjoyed that knock. It was a nice confidence booster going into the final. And as much as 50 would have been nice, I'll take 49 out every day of the week.
Yeah, Smudge, he's a group favourite in that changing room, and just when he's not on that field, it always feels like there's a little part of us missing, and he's always there around with us. Obviously, he does his coaching with us now, and he's such a huge part of this club. Such huge respect in that change room. So when it was that Smudge was fit again and he could play, it was so exciting for everyone. Being in the change room with Smudge, we all knew how much he wanted to get back out there, how excited he was when he finally got the chance to get back out there. And he put in such good performances as soon as he got the ball back in his hand. And that performance against Sussex, it was just a man who knows his craft. He's such a wily old cat with the ball. He's done it for so many years, and he just looked a man full in control. You know, it was obviously offering a little bit, but you still got to bowl well, and he did. He was spot on as he always is. He's just Mr. Reliable for us.
Head down and swing through the line. TKC with a monster. Hammered again down the ground. Tom Kohler-Cadmore with a couple of sixes in the over. Out. Caught it short third, backward point. Halfway between. Tom Smith with the catch. And they've got a breakthrough at Gloucestershire. Slower ball, he's just chipped it straight in the air. Cover, settles, and takes it in the end. Was swirling.
The Gloucestershire team, they believe, so do the fans.
Ambition, a wonderful catch. Cameron Bancroft, take a bow. Yeah! Another breakthrough. Gets a first baller in the final, and it's Gloucestershire who are on top. Gregory Gray strong down the ground, it had to come. You felt that something had to give. Picks up another one. Should be out, is out, that'll wrap it up. Hammered across the line. With great purpose, and it's gone all the way, I fancy. As he goes, just behave yourself, it's an incredible shot.
Swung away, he greets Jake Bull's entrance with a magnificent flip off the hip for 6. High it goes. Is it long enough? Just. And responds with a beautiful cover drive.
Over extra cover, it's another clean connection, and it's too good for Overton. The 100 comes up. That is clean, and Miles Hammond can just watch it sail over the fence for another 6. They are almost there. It's a half century for Miles Hammond to join his partner Cameron Bancroft.
The Vitality Blast champions, 2024, Gloucestershire!
Just, you know, you sort of dream about how you want to play a final and get to a final, and amazing to play your local rivals. We'd obviously beaten them twice in the groups, but that in that moment, that means nothing. So again, we just had to go out there. The message was, let's go and enjoy this. Whatever happens, happens. Let's try and do our best, do what we've done in the group, and we can get the job done. And yeah, we obviously set the tone again with the ball. We just done it all competition. Matt, Payne, Shawsey, in particular, I think took 85 wickets between them. I think someone said afterwards, only one other team's taken 20 wickets in finals day. We bowled so many teams out this summer, and we'd done it the whole group stage, and it was about doing it on the final, and we were able to do that, and to keep that batting lineup of Somerset, which is potentially the most powerful in the country, down to 125, was massive. But again, job's still not done there. 125, you still got to go and get the runs. So as we knew, you know, a couple of weeks before in the quarterfinals. So you think of finals days are going to go down to the wire and be tense and tight, like a lot of the group stage games we had. But it was stress-free. I mean, hammer and bangers to put on 100. We lost 2 wickets. You know, I was at 5. I didn't even bat on finals day. You don't imagine to win both games on that day by 8 wickets. So to be able to go out and do that just, you know, can show, one, how good we can be and how good we are, and 2, hopefully, you know, show people what what great players we have, and I hope this is a real catalyst. For us to go on and have more success. We'll obviously want to really go and defend our title next year. I know no team's ever done that, so that's a real massive carrot for us. And two, get some more recognition for our guys. We only had one player play in the 100 last year in Paney. We obviously had a couple other guys involved, but we should have 6 or 7 next year. So I really hope that this can be a catalyst for it. I don't like the fact we're obviously always, the non-test grounds are seen as smaller counties, but we've won one of the hardest competitions, I guess, in the world to win, because in most franchise or domestic competitions, there's 8 or 10 teams. In this, there's 18. So, I hope this can be a real catalyst for the guys to go on and play some more franchise cricket and 100 cricket and all of those things. And we want to go on and win it again next year.
Yeah, I remember being so calm. It was the calmest I've been in all 3 of the knockout games. For some reason. But I just remember thinking this is right, just have a look early, put them under a bit of pressure, just have a bit of a bat, to be honest. And then, worked out pretty well. Me and Bangers got off to a good start again. And the closer we got to chasing their total, the more you're thinking about what you're actually achieving at that point, and the more surreal it got. And then getting over the winning line, Freebie just running down the wicket and hitting 6 was a pretty awesome way to finish it.
Yeah, the final, walking out to bat with Hamo, was it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but I sort of felt like we were really clear with what needed to be done. Obviously not chasing a huge total, but runs on the board in a final can, a bit like the week before when we beat Birmingham, can sometimes be, a good thing, even if you haven't got a big score. So I think the first over, I sort of felt a few nerves. And I just had this kind of gut feel inside me that I kind of had to take down an over to try and, settle things down a bit. I'd tried to play a few aggressive shots and, sort of try and get away a little bit, and sort of feel like, right, we're actually making a little bit of a dent in this total. And I sort of felt like once I started that, Hamo then kind of followed. And, from then on, I felt like I was just kind of supporting, and Hamo kind of stole the show pretty much. So, it was really nice. And, to get 100 for none and sort of be in a really safe position where, we knew we were going to win the game. That was just all we could have ever asked for. The tournament was filled with so many highs and, some, really close lows. We played in 3 games and went to the last ball. And to be honest, that finals day, we probably won, 2 of the easiest games, for the whole season, the way it worked out. So, all that perseverance and hard work, it really kind of paid off for us on that finals day.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Penny was just seeing the way he goes about his business. He's very clear on what he wants to do. He was clear about how he wanted to try and sort of attack with the new ball this year. And that obviously, paid its rewards. So just to see him do that. And over the years, he's done that consistently, to be honest. And then it makes it obviously a lot easier bowling the other end. And I'm glad all us bowlers could sort of help back him up this year.
I think Bangers was massive. Not just his runs on the pitch, but his calming influence off the pitch and just how he talks about the game with the rest of the guys. And, across all formats, he scored so many runs, and which is not easy to do at the top of the order in this country. So he was the exact sort of player that was really keen to get in T20 cricket. We've got a lot of guys that can score quickly, and get your 30s off 15s, your 40s off 20s. But in T20 cricket, especially in England, you still need that guy to be able to bat through, and he can still do a really good lick. And for him to get, I think, 550 odd runs or something in the tournament, just so consistent. I think he went through a period of scoring over 40, 4 or 5 games in a row, and Hamo as well. The other end, they got us off to an amazing start, and they were the best opening partnership in the country this year. And they obviously were able to replicate that in the final. So it was massive. Bangers has been, an awesome signing across all three formats, and we're fortunate to be able to have him again next year.
It's a strange feeling because you got that huge emotion, massive celebrations of a fantastic night out, and the next day you wake up and for me, I'm a dad of 3 kids. You're on school runs and you're doing after school clubs, and you're back to very much you are the champions, but you're thinking about the defence. So there was a brief moment of complete euphoria, and now I think as a group we're thinking, yes, we're champions, but how do we go one better, and how do we maybe defend it next year?
Yeah, it was. I think we've spoken about it a little bit since you're the lads, and it's that's what you work towards. That's what we put in like a lot of hard work to do. That's what we've been trying to achieve for as long as I've been at the club. I think since obviously 2015, where the lads won the One Day Cup. That's sort of what we've been trying to do is win that or the Blast again. And obviously the first time being able to do it for Gloucester is awesome. It was so surreal in the moment, and obviously reflecting on it now is such a huge achievement, especially with the hurdles we overcame and the teams we were able to beat.
Oh yeah, I think it took a good couple of days because I think the memory after the actual last ball went down is pretty hazy. To be honest, I think we enjoyed ourselves like we probably earned to do. I think the next day when you kind of packing your bags in the hotel and you got a Vitality Blast medal just on the table needing to be packed as well was quite special. I think obviously be a day that I hope everyone involved, players, support staff, fans, whoever it is, remembers that day for a long time.
Yeah, no, it did sink in quickly. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't on the radar that we should go and win that T30 Blast, and it's not because I don't think we were good enough. It's just that there were some better teams out there that maybe underperformed, and we just probably got them at the right time and got over the line at the right time and were deserved winners. But yeah, I've got a clear vision on where I want us to be in 3 years' time. I really want to be competing for the First Division Championship whilst still maintaining some real white ball prowess, and I know how difficult that's going to be. So yeah, I wasn't there to kind of dampen the spirits, but I just want people to be sure how tough it is to, 1, maintain the standards that we've set already, and 2, to be even better than that again, because defending titles, is tougher than probably winning them in the first place. But I had plenty of moments where I sat down and really enjoyed the moment.
This year's T20 campaign was, out of this world. In the beginning of the season, we weren't really that confident in our, what the T20 season was going to offer us. From the previous year, we had a bit of a down or a low, but we started really well against Essex, and that almost like kick-started something brilliant. We also snuck into the quarterfinals, and then, once you reach a quarterfinal, any tournament, it's anybody's game, and we turned it on really well.
I think it was when it was 6 runs to win, because I was like within one shot, and I just remember just trying to think, this is a bit special. And then you look back to all the games that you played, and you're like, this is pretty cool. But it was really surreal. I remember not really knowing what the crack was, and I remember celebrating pretty badly. But yeah, it was awesome. Just had a look up as well to the old man and just thought, yeah, that was pretty decent.
fast behind, never feared a foe of any kind.